There are so many things wrong with what I'm about to do. I can't even. Before I show you what I'm about to show you, I cannot say this enough. Do not try this at home. Seriously, I consulted a professional. I made sure everything was done right. I mean, talk about crossing all your T's, dotting all your I's like 3 times to make sure that what I was doing was safe-ish. Also, Generark in no way asked me to do this, but they sent this big battery to a guy who likes to just say, YOLO, hold my beer, let me figure this out. So hey, thank you Generark very much for sending me this battery. I do apologize for abusing it in this manner, and I hope you guys enjoy the show. I am powering down all of the non-essential things in my house, like my crypto miner. All the 3D printers are down, UPS unplugged. I'm not gonna shut down all my equipment because there's no way. NAS, DVR, main computer low-key still sitting on the floor. Instead, I'm just gonna unplug them from the wall and let them run off the battery because they got about a 45-minute runtime. It includes running with the main computer on. All of this for the Generark HomePower 2 Plus. This does come with solar panels. I'll show you that here in a second, but this is a proof of concept. There's a nickname for this cable, but it has 2mm plugs. One of them goes into that, it's 20 amp. I have a 20 amp interior wiring that connects to a dryer plug-in right there. Do not do this at home. So for the purpose of this testing, I have all my other batteries lined up here. I'm not gonna turn those on yet. I'm going to plug the HomePower 2, because it says HomePower. I'm gonna plug it into my home. I'm gonna see if it'll run everything. Then once that proof of concept works, that's when I'm gonna hook up or turn on all these other batteries. And they go from order of highest capacity, highest output, because that thing charges super ridiculously fast. They go from capacity and charge rate on down the line to the smallest one, which all in all should give me about 7 kilowatt hours of backup battery power. For the love of whatever you consider holy, do not try this at home. If you value your life and the safety of your relatives, children, pets, whatever, you will not try this at home. Please, for the love of anything that you consider holy, do not do this at home. Generark sent me this battery for testing. I'm pretty sure that they did not anticipate me doing what I'm about to do. Here it goes.
75-year-old male back pain, 211 Silver Hollow Road, between Lane Road and Crosspatch Road. Repeating 75.
I have both of these ends right here. These are both wired to 110 through the battery. That way, both the poles are going to be 110, and my entire house, aside from 240 volt, will be powered off of this battery hookup. Maybe. Here's the moment of truth. Did I mention how dangerous this is and how you should not do this? Here goes nothing. There we go. You see that? Yeah, we're powering the whole house. Get away from this cable. I don't want you to do anything. We're powering the whole house off the HomePower 2. Aside from, the dryer and the air conditioning. But other than that, lights, refrigerators, all of that. All being powered off of this. And it looks like right now, for what I have in my house turned on, that's without any computers, servers, anything like that, I'm drawing about 842 watts. Okay, so again, no AC, no furnace, like none of that, just lights, refrigerators, that sort of thing. And refrigerators can jump up and down whenever the compressors come on. So that's 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours. Look at that. This is why they call it the HomePower. It can power your freaking home for 2.7 hours. Now it's up to 3.4, so that means the compressor and things like that that needed that jolt of energy is done, and it's hovering about 604 watts. So now, let's start charging the HomePower. Okay, 592 watts for the whole house, charging at 1,000, so that's going to bring it down once it hits 100%, and obviously it's going to take less of a draw from this. This thing can charge at 424 watts, so once this kind of levels out, that should be a little bit better at keeping up. This is 1.4 kilowatt hour. This one has an output 300, and it actually has kind of a pass-through thing going, so it's basically, once all these things cascade, then it'll stop charging that. Obviously, I don't need this much light in my kitchen all the time, so I'm gonna turn these off. But what I do want is my refrigerator running. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. So that's kind of the crazy thing about this HomePower 2. It can handle over 2,000 watts just running, but it can also peak up to like 4,400 watts. I'll give you a little bit better technical specifications once I go down in the studio. But this test proves something for me, and that is if I want to keep things in the house running, like regular lights to move throughout the night, the refrigerators, things like that, I can easily do that by using my suicide cable, plug it into my dryer outlet, and keep everything afloat. But Generark didn't stop there. They actually sent me 4 solar panels, each putting out 200 watts for a total charging potential capacity of 800. I didn't get 800 out of it, but that's to be expected. Let's talk about that though. Even though the solar panels are 200 watts, I got a total of 4 of them. By the way, they kind of connect to this little combiner thingy. It's super easy to set up. Like, there's really no way to mess it up. 200 watts each times 4 gives you a total theoretical charging capacity of 800 watts. However, I tested through multiple days, and really the highest I was able to get was peaking around 620 watts. And the footage that I'm going to show you of these solar panels, it was 100 degrees that day. It was pretty like 95% sunny, even though there were some times where clouds would roll through. For the most part, it was a clear sky. But 620 watts of charging capacity is pretty amazing, I'm not gonna lie. Here's why I really feel like the Generark is like a next level source of battery backup for your home, especially because it's mobile and stuff like that. It's its charging capacity. 600 watts of solar charging is enough to keep your refrigerator running and your lights on at night, a decent amount of lights running on all through the night, and charge it up during the next day. So for me, I look at it like this. For whatever reason, if I have an extended outage and I don't have any power, and assuming it's at least somewhat sunny outside, I have the ability to keep my food frozen. But if I'm talking about this battery being on a next level, let's go through some of those tech specs that you get. Now keep in mind, there are a couple models. The one that Generark sent me today is the HomePower 2 Plus. Now there is a standard version and a plus version. The difference is really a small amount of capacity difference and a total output capacity. So with the standard HomePower 2, you have a capacity of 1,560 watt hours. Whereas with the HomePower 2 Plus, you have 2,060 watt hours capacity. There's also minor difference in the inverter built into the battery. With the standard, you get 1,800 watts, whereas with the Plus, you get 2,200 watts. Now both batteries can handle some pretty good peak power usage. With the standard, it peaks out at 3,600 watts. However, with the Plus, you get 4,400 watts. 4,400 watts of peak just opens up a lot of possibilities. Things like air conditioning units, like if you have a window AC unit, I mean, that can sometimes take a lot of power to start up. Or me, I plugged in my 110 volt compressor and it had absolutely no problems starting that thing and compressing air. And that thing draws a lot of power, enough to dim the lights in my house. I of course ran a test of a miter saw, but that literally was just nothing. Like, it didn't phase it at all. And as you would expect at a price point like this,
and a quality of battery like this, it does provide pure sine wave power. On the front of the unit, you have 2 quick USB Type A ports that put out 18 watts each. Then you have 2 USB Type C ports that put out 100 watts each. And of course, your normal 12-volt car adapter. You flip this thing around to the back and you can see an awesome charging point, honestly, that has like this little door that slides up. It's magnetic, it holds it, and that's where you can either plug it in directly to a wall using a standard computer plug, which by the way is like really cool. That means you don't have to carry around like your own wall wart type of deal. And it exposes the 2 DC inputs, which is used to connect all 4 solar panels at the same time. And one actually kind of really nice feature is it has a built-in night light. It's like a little ring light that's all around the battery itself. And this ring light will not only be a night light, but it would also change color based off the charge. So if you start getting a little low on your battery, it'll turn yellow. And if it starts getting critical, it will turn red. Did I mention this thing charges at like 1100 watts? Okay, it's 0 to 100 in 2 hours. If you have this thing plugged into the wall, it takes about 2 hours. That's not a joke. That is a huge capacity. It's twice the capacity of the other batteries I have, and it takes 2 freaking hours to charge. That blows my mind. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like that's just not fair. But do not get it twisted. This thing is big. Although it does come with the option, this little thing in the bottom here, see this? See this? Yeah. It comes with the option for this that helps it slide around really well. It's not great on carpet, but it's okay as long as you kind of handle it right. But it really is smooth and slides around really well. If you have to pick it up though, don't pick it up too quick, because this thing, even though it is kind of like magnetically supported in order to lock in correctly, it does kind of like to fall off. For the dimensions, you're looking about 10 inches deep, 10 inches wide, and 25.5 inches tall. So it is big, and they call this thing the HomePower. Even though I took that literally and powered my home with it, I kind of understand why they call it the HomePower. It's because this thing weighs like 50 pounds, and it is kind of a pain if you want to like load it into a car and go camping. It's just, I mean, definitely doable, you know, but it's just really big. And one last thing before I move on, they say this thing can hold power for up to a year. You fully charge it, you store it somewhere, up to a year. This thing will hold battery. So that's pretty nice. So for me, it was a little interesting trying to find ways to benchmark this. Like, how do you test it? Like, how do you actually max this thing out? That's what literally led me to plugging in my entire house. So if I take down all my computers and I just kind of bring things down to a minimum, I could sustain my house through the solar panel and then through the night and keep all my food cold and then use lights sparingly, that type of thing, without having any kind of major issues. Obviously, that's not what they intended for this, and if you are going to do that, you definitely want to look at a transfer switch. This, of course, to make sure you're not putting any linesmen's lives at risk while they're doing repairs. Seriously though, I really just don't recommend doing that at all. Keep it to the basics. I plug this thing into my refrigerator, my full-size refrigerator that has an ice maker, it has water dispenser, ice dispenser, etc. I plug this into my fridge, and with normal everyday usage, it lasted for 21 hours. 21 hours, which means if I just wanted to maintain my fridge, it only takes maybe a couple few hours to charge. I would be able to indefinitely run my fridge, assuming there's still sun and it's not cloudy and rainy and snowy, with just the solar panels and this battery. And as you probably noticed, the plugins are 20 amp capable, which means you can plug in higher amperage devices, but they're not 220, which means things like your furnace or your air conditioning, things like that in your house are not gonna run off this battery. And even if they did, they probably wouldn't run very long because you're only looking at 2,000 watt hours anyway. So through all my testing, nothing in my house single-handedly could overload this battery. The only way I was able to actually get this thing to kick off and put itself into protection mode was to plug in more computers while attached to my house and essentially running almost 3,000 watts continuously for roughly, I think it was about 60 seconds before it shut down. But I was able to kick it into a protection mode where it shut down and said, nope, can't do that. This is still by far the most powerful battery I have in my arsenal now, and I really kind of sort of want to hook up a transfer switch or maybe a separate box of critical stuff. Maybe a separate box of critical stuff with a transfer switch that would run critical things and ignore other things. Believe me, the wheels are spinning right now because I really do want my house running off batteries, and I have absolutely no idea why. And this is kind of sparking me wanting to get started in the electrical area of transfer switches to make sure that when I do dumb things like I did before, I can't put anyone else's lives at risk. So guys, that's it. Check out the links in the description down below. When they sent this to me, it was a Kickstarter item. They are soon, if not right now, going to be putting this on their website. It's definitely not a cheap setup, but it should outperform just about everything else you can buy. So check out the links in the description down below. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, of course, post those in the comments down below. Yes, I know what I did with the whole cable thing. That was crazy. I know this, but hey, leave them those in the comments as well. As always, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe below, and have yourself a great day.